The body is often underestimated in discussions about self-mastery. People tend to exalt the mind, the spirit, or even external success, while dismissing the body as little more than a vessel. Yet the Stoics, despite their reputation for stern rationality, knew the body could not be ignored. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the need to rise each morning and meet the day with vigor, reminding himself that he was made not to lie in comfort, but to act. Epictetus, once a slave who knew both hardship and endurance in the flesh, often reminded his students that philosophy is not something to be spoken only, but lived, tested in the crucible of action. And where do those actions take place, if not through the body? To neglect our physical health is to ignore one of the instruments through which we pursue virtue, resilience, and strength. Exercise, then, is not a vain pursuit of appearances, but a training ground for discipline, clarity, and freedom. When we move the body, we awaken something in the soul. Think about the feeling of finishing a run, the sweat cooling on the skin, the steady rhythm of the heart slowing back to normal. There is clarity in that moment, a reminder that life is movement and that stagnation is what leads to decay. The benefits of physical fitness are not confined to the visible, muscles that grow or fat that diminishes. They extend into the unseen domains of courage, patience, and endurance. To hold a plank, to finish a final rep, or to push through the last stretch of a jog when the legs feel heavy is to train the mind in perseverance. It is a rehearsal for life's greater trials, a reminder that discomfort does not destroy us, but rather strengthens us when we face it willingly. The gym, the track, or the quiet morning walk become miniature versions of the battlefield of existence, places where we learn to overcome the resistance within ourselves. In a world that worships comfort, exercise is an act of quiet rebellion. We are surrounded by conveniences designed to save us effort. Cars to take us short distances, screens to keep us entertained without moving, meals prepared in an instant. And while these innovations remove physical strain, they often bring with them new forms of suffering, sluggishness, illness, restless energy with nowhere to flow. To choose fitness is to push back against this tide. It is to declare that we will not be lulled into passivity, but will actively sharpen ourselves. Seneca once observed that difficulty strengthens the mind as labor strengthens the body. When we train, we deliberately seek out difficulty. We willingly put ourselves in the path of effort, knowing that it is the only way to cultivate resilience. It is not that we love the burning muscles or the pounding heart for their own sake, but because we recognize in them the forging of something deeper, a spirit that refuses to yield.
The benefits of caring for the body ripple outward into every aspect of life. Energy multiplies, making work sharper and relationships more present. Stress, which so often festers in inactivity, finds release in sweat and motion. The mind, which can grow restless and clouded, discovers clarity when the body has been pushed to its limits. There is a harmony that emerges when mind and body are not in conflict, but in cooperation. The Stoics sought a life aligned with nature, and what is more natural than to move as the body was designed to move, to lift, to run, to stretch, to breathe deeply. These are not luxuries, but essentials of being human. When neglected, the body withers and drags the spirit with it. When nourished through movement, it becomes the foundation of a stable mind and a balanced soul. But it must be remembered that fitness, in the Stoic sense, is not vanity. It is not about chasing admiration in the eyes of others or sculpting a body to be displayed. That is as fleeting as the applause of the crowd, and Marcus Aurelius reminded us often of how little that truly matters. To train only for appearance is to chase shadows. The real prize is invisible, the strength of character that comes from discipline, the freedom from lethargy, the resilience to face life's storms without crumbling. A strong body serves a stronger mind, and a stronger mind serves a virtuous life. In this way, exercise becomes philosophy in motion. Each rep is an affirmation of perseverance, each drop of sweat a reminder of effort, each ache a lesson that growth often comes with pain. Modern science confirms what the Stoics intuited. Regular movement sharpens focus, reduces anxiety, and even lifts the fog of depression. The body produces its own natural medicine when we move it, rewarding us with clarity and calm. Sleep becomes deeper, digestion smoother, and the immune system more resilient. But beyond these measurable benefits, there is a subtler gift. Confidence rooted not in comparison, but in competence. When you know your body is capable, when you trust it to carry you through challenges, a quiet assurance follows you. You walk taller, not because you wish to be seen, but because you feel at home in your own frame.
There will always be excuses. The bed is too warm, the day too busy, the energy too low. But these are the very moments when training becomes most meaningful. Marcus Aurelius would write in his Meditations about dragging himself from bed at dawn, reminding himself that he was made to do the work of a human being, not to hibernate like a beast of comfort. Each time we silence the excuse and take a step toward movement, we strengthen a muscle more important than any bicep or calf, the muscle of willpower. That is the essence of Stoic fitness, not merely building a body, but training the self to choose what is hard but good over what is easy but empty. And let us not overlook the humility exercise teaches. No matter how strong, fast, or flexible we become, there are always limits. The weight that cannot be lifted, the distance too far, the breath that falters. These limits remind us of our mortality, of our finiteness, and in that recognition, we find perspective. The body is not eternal. It will age, weaken, and eventually return to dust. But instead of despairing at this truth, the Stoic embraces it. To exercise is not to deny mortality, but to honor life while it is ours, to use the body well while we have it. Fitness becomes a way of saying thank you for the time we are given. Thank you for the vessel through which we experience the world. Consider also the way movement binds us to the present. A mind anxious about the future or brooding on the past is pulled into the now when the body is under strain. A sprint leaves no room for regret or anticipation. The breath demands attention, the muscles command focus. In this way, exercise is a meditation in motion. It draws us into the immediacy of existence, into the moment where life actually happens. Many people struggle to sit in still meditation, restless with thoughts. But put them under a barbell or out on a trail, and suddenly they find that elusive clarity. The body leads the mind into stillness by demanding presence through effort.
And yet, balance is essential. Stoicism warns against obsession and excess in all forms. To become enslaved by vanity, to push the body beyond reason into injury, or to let exercise consume life until it becomes an idol, these are distortions of the good. The goal is harmony, not domination. The Stoic trains the body not as an end, but as a means, a partner in the pursuit of virtue. Fitness is not the summit of life, but a solid foundation, enabling one to live with greater purpose and to serve others with more energy and presence. The body is sharpened so that the mind can be sharpened, and the mind sharpened so that the soul may act justly, wisely, and courageously. So let us see exercise not as a chore, but as a privilege. Every push-up, every step, every drop of sweat is a declaration that we will not drift passively through life. We are here to engage, to act, to strengthen, to grow. The gym, the trail, the pool, or even the quiet stretch of floor in a small room, these are not mere spaces of exertion, but arenas of self-mastery. And each time we enter them, we rehearse the lessons that Stoicism has always taught, that effort is worth more than ease, that discipline outweighs indulgence, that strength, both of body and of character, is built not in comfort, but in struggle. When the day feels heavy and motivation low, remember this: your body is a gift, fleeting but powerful, and exercise is the way you honor it, not for the mirror, not for the approval of others, but for the inner alignment that comes when mind and body move as one. In training your flesh, you are also training your will, and in strengthening your frame, you are also fortifying your spirit. That is the true benefit of exercise, the one the Stoics would have us see. It is not merely about living longer, but about living better. Not merely about looking strong, but about being strong, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And when the body is tended with care, the mind steadied with discipline, and the spirit guided by virtue, then we are truly fit for life. You wake up and already feel the weight pressing down. The question circles in your head like a storm. What am I supposed to do with my life? Everyone seems to know where they're going. Everyone looks like they have a map. And you feel like you're standing in the middle of a desert without a compass. The horizon stretches in every direction. No signposts, no certainty, just sand and silence. But here is the truth the Stoics understood. Direction is not something you stumble across out there in the world. It is not waiting for you like treasure buried beneath the earth. It is something you build, day by day, step by step, choice by choice. You may not know where the path leads, but you always know where your foot will land next, and that is enough. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled the most powerful empire on earth, wrote to himself in the pages of his journal, "Stop wandering. Stop pretending you will live forever. Focus on what is in front of you. Do what is necessary. Do it with justice. Do it with strength. Do it with humility." His words cut through centuries, because the problem you face now is the same one he faced then. What should I do with this moment? The answer? Do what is at hand. We suffer because we believe purpose is a grand revelation, a lightning bolt from the sky, a single decision that fixes everything. But that is an illusion. The Stoics remind us that purpose is not discovered, it is cultivated, it is practiced, like a muscle. You don't wait to be told what to do. You take the smallest task in front of you, and you do it with excellence. Wash a dish with care. Speak with honesty. Learn with attention. From these ordinary things, a life of meaning begins to form.
Directionless people chase certainty. They want a map with every turn labeled. But life never gives maps. It gives terrain. You learn where you are by walking, by trying, by failing, by adjusting. A sailor does not curse the lack of a straight path across the sea. He uses the winds. He reads the stars. He moves forward, little by little. The same is true for you. You don't need the whole plan. You only need the discipline to take the next step. Seneca once said that our problem is not that life is short. The problem is that we waste it. We burn hours waiting for inspiration. We waste days scrolling, numbing, distracting ourselves, all because we think the real thing has not started yet. But it has. Your life is happening right now. Every breath is your life. Every conversation, every thought. The Stoics were asked, what are you doing with it? If you feel lost, start here. Stop demanding certainty. Stop demanding clarity. Focus instead on virtue. Are you acting with courage? Are you acting with self-control? Are you acting with justice toward others? Are you acting with wisdom in your judgments? These 4 virtues were the compass of the Stoics. Follow them, and you are never truly lost. You may not know the destination, but you will always know you are moving in the right direction. The world wants you to compare, to measure yourself against timelines, careers, possessions, followers. The Stoics teach a harder truth. None of that matters. What matters is your character. What matters is your mind. What matters is how you respond to fortune, to adversity, to opportunity. You can be broke and honorable. You can be unseen and at peace. You can be rejected and still live with dignity. That is a success no one can take from you.
But make no mistake, Stoicism is not an excuse for passivity. It is not a philosophy of sitting still, waiting for destiny to knock. It is a philosophy of action. You may not control the outcomes, but you always control the effort. You always control the decision to begin. The directionless person suffers because they believe the first step must be perfect, but perfection is not required, only motion. A crooked step forward is better than endless hesitation. Epictetus was born a slave, beaten, denied freedom. He had every reason to surrender to despair, yet he taught generations with a single conviction. You may not control the circumstances of your life, but you control your will. You control your choices. You control the meaning you give to every event. He turned chains into wisdom. If he could rise above his condition, so can you rise above your confusion. So stop asking what you should do with your life. Ask instead, what kind of person do I want to be? The path emerges from that question. If you want to be courageous, act with courage today. If you want to be wise, learn something useful today. If you want to be kind, show kindness to someone today. Purpose is not a grand monument. It is the brick you lay again and again until one day you look up and see a temple where once there was nothing. The fear of being lost often comes from comparison. You scroll and see people with businesses, careers, relationships, direction. But you do not see their nights of doubt. You do not see their private struggles. Everyone is navigating. Everyone is guessing. The Stoics remind us, you cannot measure your path by another's. You can only measure your choices against your values.
Remember, too, that direction is not found in comfort. It is carved out in challenge. A muscle grows by resistance. A person grows by trial. Stop fearing mistakes. Stop fearing wrong turns. Each one teaches. Each one strengthens. Seneca wrote that no wind is favorable to the sailor who does not know to which port he sails. But once you choose a direction, even imperfectly, the winds of life begin to serve you. Ask yourself not what job title will impress. Ask yourself not what path will guarantee applause. Ask instead, what would I do if I was not afraid of failing? What would I do if no one else was watching? What action feels honest to who I am? There, you will find the seeds of direction. Life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be navigated. Storms will come. Opportunities will vanish. People will betray. Plans will collapse. And yet, the Stoics teach that the obstacle becomes the way. The setback becomes fuel. The difficulty becomes training. The question is not whether you know your final destination. The question is whether you will meet each moment
with strength. Do not underestimate the power of small beginnings. A journal page written each morning can anchor you. A walk taken with attention can center you. A single act of honesty can align you. The world wants grand gestures. The Stoics want consistent practice. That is how direction is built, quietly, patiently, unshakably. The truth is, you may never find the one perfect calling. You may never find a single passion that defines you, and that is not failure. That is freedom. You can live many lives in one. You can explore, adapt, change. The only constant is your character. Build that, and you will never be truly directionless. So breathe. You do not need to figure it all out today. You do not need the whole map. You only need the courage to take the step in front of you, to live this day with attention, to act with virtue, to meet whatever happens with calm strength. And if you do that, when you look back years from now, you will see that you were never lost. You were becoming, you were building, you were walking the path all along. That is the Stoic way. Not certainty, not comfort, but clarity in the moment, integrity in the action, resilience in the face of chaos. You may not know where your life will lead, but you can know how you will live it, and that is enough.
The life you dream of will not arrive gently. It will test you. It will throw storms in your path you never predicted, and it will demand more of you than you thought you could endure. There will be times when nothing seems to make sense, when you feel like you are carrying a weight that threatens to crush you. And yet, even in those moments, there is one thing that always belongs to you: your response. As Epictetus once said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. You cannot always command the events that unfold, but you can choose how you meet them. And in that choice lies your greatest strength. Because your response is the line that separates those who stumble and collapse from those who walk through fire and emerge refined. Two people can live through the exact same trial and walk away with entirely different lives. One leaves broken, bitter, and paralyzed. The other walks away stronger, wiser, and more alive. The difference isn't luck, it's mental strength. Mental strength is not some fixed trait reserved for the fortunate. It's not written in your DNA or handed to you at birth. It's something you train, something you forge through deliberate choices and daily practice. And today, I want to show you how to build it, not just to survive, but to thrive no matter what life throws at you.
When life challenges you, it's not trying to destroy you, it's calling you higher. Every obstacle is strength training for the soul. Every setback is resistance that forces your mind to adapt and grow. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Think about it this way. If your journey were effortless, it wouldn't change you. Easy never transforms. Difficulty does. In the struggle, resilience is born. In the unexpected detour, creativity awakens. In the moments you feel stretched to your breaking point, your true character begins to take shape. The reward of pursuing something meaningful is not only what you achieve, but who you become along the way. The mind, like the body, is a muscle, and muscles only grow under pressure. Most people run from challenge and cling to comfort. They seek ease, thinking it will protect them, but in reality, it leaves them fragile. Then, when life finally does test them, they shatter. You are faced with a choice: embrace the hardship now and grow, or avoid it now and crumble later. The challenges in your path are not there to block you. They are there to build you. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body."
But here's a truth that often goes unspoken. Mental strength isn't just about what you do. It's also about what you stop doing. There are habits, mindsets, and behaviors that quietly drain your resilience, like holes in a bucket. The first is complaining. Complaining feels good in the moment. It gives you a villain to point at and a reason why things aren't the way you hoped. But it doesn't solve anything. Every moment spent complaining is a moment stolen from actually changing your reality. Epictetus put it bluntly, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The more you complain, the more powerless you feel. Because where your attention goes, your experience follows. Focus on problems, and life looks like an endless string of them. Focus on possibilities, and suddenly doors appear. The second trap is constant comfort seeking. Comfort is seductive. It whispers promises of ease, safety, and rest, but too much comfort weakens the spirit. Our world makes it almost effortless to avoid discomfort. Instant access, on-demand everything, endless entertainment. And yet growth requires friction. Seneca warned, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" The third trap is excuses. Excuses protect your pride in the short term, but they rob your future. They disguise themselves as reasonable explanations, but at their core, they are resistance. Resistance to doing the very thing that would transform your life.
Another truth: if you only act when you feel motivated, you will rarely act at all. Motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and tied to your emotions. Discipline, however, is steady. Discipline does not wait for the perfect mood. It builds systems that force action regardless of how you feel. As Epictetus taught, no great thing is created suddenly. Consistency is where transformation happens, not in the rare sparks of inspiration, but in the daily follow-through. One powerful way to build this strength is to do at least one hard thing every day. Not because you want to suffer, but because deliberately stepping into discomfort makes you resilient. The more often you face what scares you, the smaller your fears become. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Every hard thing you face now is a deposit in your future resilience. Courage is a muscle. It strengthens only when used. Mental strength also depends on what you allow into your mind. Your thoughts are shaped by the books you read, the people you listen to, the conversations you entertain, and the content you consume. These inputs become the architecture of your worldview. Musonius Rufus, often called the Roman Socrates, said, "If you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures." If your inputs are weak, negative, or shallow, your perspective will be the same. If your inputs are wise, empowering, and expansive, your life will follow.
And then there is pain. Pain is guaranteed in life. Loss, rejection, disappointment, and heartbreak touch us all. But suffering is not guaranteed. Pain is what happens. Suffering is what you do with it. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Pain will shape you no matter what. You only get to decide whether it breaks you or builds you. Another key element of strength is the way you speak to yourself. Your inner critic wants safety, not greatness. If you listen only to its doubts, you will believe you are incapable before you even try. The strong talk back. They use words intentionally, shaping their identity with each phrase. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Your brain rewires itself around the stories you tell. You cannot outperform the story you tell yourself, so choose a story that makes you rise. Strength also comes from identity. The most unshakable people don't need to debate with themselves in every challenge. They already know who they are. As Epictetus reminded his students, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Think of your own journey. You have already survived every storm that threatened to destroy you. That is proof. When you define yourself as someone who adapts and rises, obstacles stop being negotiations.
And finally, fall in love with the process, not just the prize. The strongest people are not obsessed with the finish line. They embrace the daily climb. Results are fleeting. The medal gathers dust. The applause fades. But the process, the hours of practice, the daily discipline, the small victories, this is where life happens. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Consistency beats intensity. Show up every day, especially when you least feel like it. That is where strength is forged. When you live this way, you stop breaking at the first obstacle. You stop waiting for life to get easier and instead train yourself to get stronger. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Try me." Life's storms no longer feel like walls. They become weights, and every time you lift them, you grow. One day, you'll look back and realize the things that once tried to crush you became the very things that made you unshakable. The storms that threatened to drown you taught you to breathe deeper. The burdens that seemed unbearable built the strength that now carries you forward. This can be your story. Not someday, not tomorrow, but today, starting now.
Many of us struggle with the same old enemy, laziness. Today, we'll explore timeless wisdom on laziness through quotes passed down from thinkers and writers, and then reflect on them through the lens of Stoic philosophy. You'll hear the words and then the Stoic lesson that transforms them into a guide for living. Let's begin. Quote, "Laziness travels so slowly that poverty soon overtakes him." The Stoics would remind us time is the one resource we cannot get back. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Laziness wastes life in slow increments, minutes scrolling, hours procrastinating, until suddenly the years are gone, and we find ourselves overtaken not just by financial poverty, but by poverty of character and purpose. The lesson? See every wasted hour as an investment lost. Don't fear poverty of money. Fear poverty of spirit, brought on by delay. Quote, "A person who has not done one half his day's work by 10 o'clock runs a chance of leaving the other half undone." Here we find a practical Stoic principle. Momentum matters. Marcus Aurelius rose early and urged himself not to complain about leaving the warmth of his bed. He knew that starting strong sets the tone for the day. Laziness in the morning spreads like ink and water, coloring everything else. The Stoic solution? Practice discipline at the start of the day. Begin with what matters most. Win the morning, and you are far more likely to win the day.
Sloth never arrived at the attainment of a good wish. Miguel de Cervantes. We all dream, but Stoicism teaches us that desire without action is meaningless. Epictetus put it plainly, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Sloth kills not because it lacks ambition, but because it withholds effort. Wishes alone are powerless. Only discipline turns them into reality. The Stoic lesson: measure yourself not by what you wish for, but by what you do. The soul of the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. Seneca often warned against being a slave to desire. The lazy crave comfort, success, recognition, but lack the courage to act. Diligence, on the other hand, produces quiet abundance, skill, respect, and inner strength. For the Stoic, riches are not gold, but virtue. The diligent soul is rich because it masters itself, not because it hoards possessions. Indolence is the dry rot of even a good mind and a good character. Tryon Edwards. Rot is subtle. It begins unnoticed and spreads quietly. So too with laziness. You may be brilliant, moral, capable, but if you fail to act, your gifts wither. The Stoics saw action as essential to virtue. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." A mind unused, a virtue unpracticed, these decay. The Stoic reminder: talent is nothing without effort.
Laziness may appear attractive, but work gives satisfaction. Epictetus warned us not to mistake pleasure for good, nor discomfort for evil. Laziness tempts because it offers comfort now, but only at the cost of emptiness later. Work, though often painful in the moment, grants something deeper: self-respect. The Stoic lesson: don't chase what feels good now, chase what makes you proud later. True satisfaction is the fruit of labor, not idleness. There is no happy ever after for the lazy and uncommitted. Happiness, to a Stoic, is not a fairy tale ending. It is a daily practice of living in harmony with virtue. Laziness breaks that harmony. If you're unwilling to commit, unwilling to struggle, unwilling to endure discomfort, then happiness slips through your fingers. Stoic advice: tie your joy not to outcomes, but to your effort. A happy life is not the absence of work. It is the presence of meaningful work. Whoever works hard prospers. Whoever folds his hands falters. This echoes the Stoic belief in cause and effect. You cannot control outcomes, but you can control your actions. Fold your hands, yield to laziness, and you drift downward. Work diligently, persist despite obstacles, and prosperity follows, whether in wealth, wisdom, or peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius phrased it best: just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. Work hard not for guaranteed reward, but because hard work aligns you with virtue.
Waste and laziness are facilitators of poverty. Seneca said, "It is not that we have little time, but more that we waste a good deal of it." Waste and laziness are thieves. Poverty here is not only financial, but spiritual. A life wasted becomes impoverished in meaning. The Stoic approach: practice awareness of how you spend your time. Guard it as you would treasure. Every wasted hour is a coin you'll never earn back. Challenge yourself to be uncomfortable. Push past the apathy and laziness and fear. Here we find pure Stoic training. Epictetus told his students, if you want to improve, prepare to be ridiculed, scorned, misunderstood. Growth requires discomfort. Ease avoids discomfort. Stoicism embraces it as a forge. To strengthen the body, you must strain it. To strengthen the soul, you must step willingly into hardship. The advice: love the challenge, for it shapes you into who you are meant to be. Laziness is a secret ingredient that goes into failure, but it's only kept a secret from the person who fails. Robert Half. This humor hides a hard truth. Laziness blinds us. We excuse it, justify it, pretend it doesn't matter, and then when failure arrives, we act surprised. The Stoic response is brutal honesty with oneself. Marcus Aurelius urged self-examination. Where am I failing to live up to my principles? Where am I lying to myself? Laziness hides, but truth exposes. Don't let it remain a secret ingredient in your downfall. Face it, name it, and overcome it. What do these voices across time reveal? That laziness is not just a bad habit, it is a corrosion of the soul. It wastes time, dulls ambition, rots character, and blinds us to the truth. But Stoicism does not condemn without offering a remedy. The remedy is diligence, discipline, and action rooted in virtue. Rise early, use your hours well, face discomfort willingly, and remember, life is slipping away moment by moment. Do not give it to laziness. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The Stoic way is to use it well. So let me ask you, where in your life have you allowed laziness to creep in? And what is one step, just one, that you can take today to replace it with purposeful action?